All right, so let's talk about H420. Wireshark is a good, important tool to understand to analyze network traffic. You can run it. You do not need a virtual machine, although you can use one if you like. You can install it on any operating system. I'm just running it here on my Mac. And about some kind of update, I don't care. Okay, so the first thing I want is FTP login. That should be something I've had open recently. Here it is, an FTP login. All right, so here's file. You see at the bottom right, it tells you how many packets there are, 296 packets in here. And so if you look at a packet in Wireshark, click any of these, then this pane here shows you a breakdown by OSI model layers. Here's layer 1, showing you the number of bytes at the physical layer. This is 78 bytes of traffic. Then layer 2 is frames with MAC addresses. Layer 3 is IP packets with IP addresses. And layer 4 is TCP packets with TCP port numbers. So you see the various layers of information here. And if you want to find an FTP password for file transfer protocol, you just filter for FTP up here in the filter bar. And now you can just look right here and it shows you username and password, username John, password Flapper. You can just see the username and password right there. You don't have to do anything more than just look at the summary pane up here. And that's why FTP is a notoriously unsafe protocol that people really shouldn't be using anymore, although some people do. And so another file to look at is HTTP login. Let me see if I figure out file open recent. I wonder if I have that option. I do. All right. So HTTP login is here. And it's not got any FTP traffic. So to see the traffic, I have to clear the filter. And here you see a lot of traffic. But I'm going to filter for HTTP. And HTTP is web traffic, and it's also unencrypted. But this one is using, I think, basic authentication. Let's see. All right. So here it is getting a login form. And here is a post. This is typically where you log in. Post is when the traffic will be sent up. So you have the 4 layers I talked about before. Then above that you have HTTP. Then you have form URL encoded. And so here it is sending Isaac and Flapper with a submit button, sending it up to the server. So that's the name and password sent to the server. And then here's the reply. And the reply includes this data saying you entered this but login was denied. So that login was not accepted. So you can examine the packets one by one here and see the data that was sent. I see some question about D11 and D12. I don't know what that is. I'll figure it out later. But what's more efficient is to right-click and follow the TCP stream. This shows you the data without any addresses or anything. So here's what the customer sent. Here's what the server replied. Here's what the customer sent. Here's what the server replied, and so on. So sometimes this is more readable, although sometimes you get what we had there. You get compressed data, which is not readable here. See, the reply is compressed, so it's just gibberish. So you can't read to see whether there's actually an approved login or not. Anyway, you can find passwords there. And another one is basic authentication. Let me open that one. That's basic login. All right. Basic authentication is a strange beast. What happens is you do SYN SYNAC ACK to connect to the server. Let's get HTTP here. All right. You get a page, and it always replies 401 unauthorized. Then the browser will pop up a box asking for a username and password and repeat the get again. Now the first get is here. It has host, connection, and so on, but it doesn't have any authentication information in the header, which is why it's refused. But the second time, it's added this authorization header field, and that includes this scrambled data which proves that you're allowed to access the page. And that scrambled data is just base64 encoded username : password, which Wireshark unbase64s for you here so you can see it. And then you're approved. So that's how basic authentication works. There's always 2 requests, and in between it's popped up a box to harvest a username from the and password from the user. And then there's one that's more difficult here that I got from a capture the flag contest with APT. And here a person has issued commands remotely on a server to you can find the actual commands they issued where they generated an encryption key, transmitted it over the network, and set up a HTTPS server on an unusual port to have encrypted communication, and you can decrypt that all in Wireshark. It can take some time to work through, but you can try that if you like for extra credit. So I'm going to stop this recording.